am Marilyn. I am the founder and creative director of Unique Flexique. And today, in this tutorial, I am going to show you how to use Flexique by itself, not with wafer paper. And if you have already seen the tutorial on how to mix it, you will know that it should already be in a state such as this, but it should be in that state at this point. And then I will take it and put it in the microwave because I'm ready to use it for 15 seconds. My microwave is a 950 watts. And I will heat it up for 15 seconds at a time. You don't want to heat it up for any longer than that. You want to make sure that it does not overflow or get too hot. At this point, you can add your colors to it. If you add white, it will become opaque. I use any white. They can be gel colors, they can be liquid colors, they can be from your local grocery store. If you add the white, it will be opaque. If you don't add the white, you can add any color you want and it will be translucent. So it's up to you and it's depending on what you're using it for. I'm going to add, and it doesn't take much, I'm going to add a drop of white. And I'm going to show you how to use it on a texture sheet. You can use it on flat if you want something just smooth, like a fabric. But I want to show you that it also can be used on a texture sheet. Now I've done some here so it'll be ready for you. And you can brush it on or put it on with a spatula. If you put it on with a spatula, you just pour it on and just smooth it, okay? If you get some spots where it doesn't cover, it may be because your mat has some grease on it, or it just may be a little bit too warm. Wait a few seconds and you can put some more on and do the same thing. Right? And then you will let it cure for about 5 minutes. Make sure that any unused Flexique is kept in the refrigerator, or now I realize that you can keep it in the freezer indefinitely. Pretty awesome. It comes out of the freezer just as good as when you first mixed it up. So also, I want to show you how to use the brush. It's the same concept. It goes on a little thinner when you use the brush. You can still control it. You're more likely to get areas that weren't covered. Just as long as you go over it with warm Flexique, there's no problem. If you wait till it gets a little bit cool, or if you go over it without using the warm Flexique, you may get drag marks. While we are waiting for this to cure, I am going to show you something that's really unique about Flexique. I have a volunteer here, and this is so user-friendly that you can use it on your skin. I'm going to show you at the inside of the elbow because I will show you that it will bend with your skin and becomes almost part of you. Now, this looks pretty scary because I'm putting it on the hair on his arm. But just like in the brushes, it washes off very easily. Now, if it was not on this part of his arm, you could peel it off when it cures. Doesn't take very long, just a few minutes. Okay, we will be back in just a few minutes with Joe to show you how I luster it so you can see it closer. Now we will put the luster on the part that I have already done for you so that you know what it will look like. I am going to use a brilliant sparkling silver. And the luster does two things. It will make it shiny if you're looking for a satin type fabric. And it will make sure, even though you will see it is cured and not sticky at all, tacky enough, just enough to have the luster stick to it. It will keep it from sticking as you turn it over. We'll do one side, then I'll lift it up and show you the textured side. Now, if you were using this in a dress or something that's going to go against your body, you may not want the luster on this side. You may want to do the cornstarch. I take my cornstarch and put it in a stocking and then just do your pouncing. Actually a little bit easier. And I will take my little tool here and just help bring up one edge. Sometimes it's a little bit stubborn. And you go ahead and turn it over. You'll see it comes up pretty easily. If this was on a flat silicone mat, it would come up even easier, but when it has the little grooves, it takes a little bit more. All right, and then I will use the cornstarch on this side for you. Well, that makes a weird noise. And I tore it a little bit there. You'll see, because it is actually food and edible, in the beginning it is a little bit, it stretches, but it will tear. You can actually take your cutters, and I will show you, you can cut it at this point. If I had colored it, you would have seen it a little bit better. Flex-Seek, when you do it this way without wafer paper, you can tie it into bows, make little ribbons out of it. At this point, it's a little bit fragile yet. I would wait a couple hours. And you will see you don't have any problem with it breaking apart. And I'm not saying this is going to replace fondant or gum paste or anything, but there are applications where this would be very nice on a cake. It won't break. You drop it, crush it, and it comes right back to its shape. Okay? You can also use cutters, Martha Stewart cutters, scrapbooking cutters, as long as they are lead-free. I want to say from the United States. Make sure that they are lead-free and use them only for, dedicate them to what you're doing with food. Right? This is a piece of Flex-Seek that I had done on the texture mat with color. It was not color when I did it. It was clear. I didn't put anything on this side at all, not even cornstarch. But on the back side, when I had it down, I put, this is called Golden Chocolate. It's a crystal color, Golden Chocolate. When I put it on, I was kind of amazed. I mean, I didn't put it on real evenly or anything like that, but apparently it's made from reds and greens and golds because it came through the Flex-Seek, the beautiful colors. Also, if you use different lusters, I think this is Red Pearl. It started out this color and it will change it. If you use black and you put silver on it, it becomes like a gunmetal. It's really pretty color. Okay, now I'm going to show you how to luster on a person. It's still a little bit tacky. Takes a little longer on your body, I guess because of the moisture on your skin, than it does on the mats, but it's the same process. I'm going to use my Atiko brush. Love this brush because it does not metal around here. These brushes get washed very often because you rinse them with warm water to get the Flexique off. And you don't have to worry about this rusting at all. Amazing tool, amazing. Now I'm going to use gold on Joe's arm. This, by the way, is my son, Joe. This is Sugar Art Sterling Pearl Wedding Gold. Wedding Gold. One reason you might do this on your body is Halloween. Another reason might be that you are making a dress, which I am getting to be famous for. I made a dress for Orlando, and I made one for North Florida. The one in North Florida, I needed sleeves on the arm. Didn't have any made, so I painted my daughter's arms with Flexique, and then I put black luster dust over it. So you can see that clearly. That's a very pretty color. I'm going to luster in the inside of his elbow so that you can see, he'll show you that bend. Whoops. Boy, I got a shower there. You'll be able to see that when it bends, it still stays on and doesn't move. It does come off with warm water. And if I didn't do it on his hair, over here on the arm, I wouldn't do this to my son. I might do it to somebody else, but not my son. You could peel it right off and get a little exfoliation done there. All right. Very nice. You see how it bends? See how it just goes? It's a bend there and goes right back. Stays with you. Another thing that people have been asking about is how to print on Flexique. And I'm going to have you see how this is done with my husband, the other Joe. So thank you very much, and we'll be back with you soon.
I'm Joe, Marilyn's better half, or sometimes known as her man Friday. Whenever she has an order for edible prints, I'm usually the one that gets the file, prints it on the printer. So I'm pretty familiar with that process. So when we heard through the grapevine that people were asking about whether we could print on Flexique, that kind of got my attention. She did recently in DC, she partnered with Terry Tarbox on a competition that involved printing a label. And Terry said, why don't you try printing on Flexique? So we did that. And the result was kind of pretty interesting. That's Flexique with the DC Central Kitchen label printed on it. I guess I should turn it around so you could read it. Pretty interesting. Another version was Volunteers, printed on Flexique. So what I'm going to do is give you just a quick tutorial on how you can do it. Somebody actually tried Flexique by itself in a cake, and it resulted in a see-through bag that was wrapped around a severed head. The tutorial was published in Inks magazine, so if you're curious, you can go find that out. But this is a piece of Flexique. Now I've tried it two different ways. I've tried brushing it on, but when you do that, you wind up getting more of the bubbles in the product. So I've tried it a different way to expedite it. You need a backing, an acrylic backing. You know, like the stuff that you get icing sheets on? Get a blank one to use. Warm up your Flexique until it's liquid, and then pour it onto your acrylic sheet and roll it around. Just like that. You either put more or less on it. If the more you put on it, the more dripping you're going to get. The less you put on it, the less coverage you'll get, and you'll probably wind up getting round spots that aren't covered very well. So if you do it this way, you've got the Flexique, as you can see, rolled onto the acetate pretty thinly, and if you look at it, you see hardly any bubbles in the product itself. And when it dries, it'll be just as crystal clear as you can see it right now. The edges will probably be a little bit thicker than the rest of it, so you can take a cutter and just cut off the edges so that you have a flat sheet. And after it dries, I'd give it probably about a day to dry because you don't want to gum up your printer. After about a day, after it dries, you just feed it into the printer, your edible printer, just like any other piece of icing sheet, and print on it. And what you'll wind up getting is what I showed you originally, a piece of art that's printed on edible paper. So you've got edible print on edible paper. So there it is. And we'll continue to give you tips and tricks on Flexique.com. Thanks a lot.
Okay, before we end up this tutorial, I would like to share with you something that I've come up with to help extend the life of your Flexique. It will increase it by however much chocolate you add to it. I add chocolate 50% each by volume, 50% Flexique, 50% chocolate. And I want to apologize right now to my pastry friends, my chef friends. It's not chocolate. It is a candy coating, the cheapest you can get. Also, you can use the little discs. Good chocolate, couverture, don't use it. It won't work. I've tried. So what I do is I melt them separately. Flexique do it 15 seconds at a time. It melts very quickly, but the chocolate melts, as you know, took about 1.5 minutes to melt this much. So I've got about 1/2 cup of each. It took about 6 of these little squares to make the 1/2 cup. And I will just add them together. I know it sounds like craziness. I don't know how I came up with this, but and then mix it. After you mix it, it will become translucent. And start to thicken up a little bit. That's what it should look like. Okay, and I will put it in the microwave to warm it up just a little bit. I think 15 seconds should do it. I want to make sure that it's the right consistency for spreading. And at this point, when it is melted again, I will add some coloring to it. This time I'm going to add some black and show you an interesting effect that one of my students showed me, how to make it look like gunmetal. So it doesn't take much, sort of like isomalt. Just a couple drops. You see what it did? Okay. And then you can do it with a brush, or you can do it with the spatula again. Just depends what you want. The brush you can get a little bit thinner, the spatula gets a little bit thicker. But you get the idea. This will take a little longer to dry with the chocolate in it. So we'll let that set before I add any of the luster on the top. In the meantime, I'll tell you some of the other things that you can do with the Flexique. This actually is a cape I made for the Orlando show. My daughter wore it with a dress set for the runway show. It was 25% chocolate and 75% Flexique. And I made, I don't know if you could tell that it's a little bit thicker. You still can see through it. But I actually did 2 or 3 coats of product on it, right? And it's 4 months later, and it is still in very good shape. You also see that I've used the cutouts, the scrapbook cutouts, Martha Stewart or whichever they have in a store. Stay away from lead-based. You want to use something made, a good product, maybe made in this country. And you can cut out any kind of designs with it. You also can use it in molds. This is a snowflake mold I made. The only thing I want to caution you is it does shrink a little as it dries. Okay, this is like 3 days old. Another thing that you can do is use it in molds this way. I don't fill the mold up all the way. Then you have a lighter product. This was just done. You might want to let it cure a little bit. And then you can add that to your cake without having the weight. Now, some people have written in and asked how you can attach it to your cake, your fondant. Not a problem at all attaching it to buttercream, but when it comes to fondant, fondant tends to bring out the moisture in the gelatin-based products. So what I have found out, if you use the chocolate lacquer spray and spray the cake very well and let it dry, then you can attach it with the Flexique glue, sometimes with Flexique itself. Chocolate, if you're using the chocolate, you can use the chocolate to attach it, or isomalt. All right, so it looks like it's been 5 minutes here, and we're ready to put the luster dust on the black. Also, remember that you can airbrush Flexique. I think this kind of looks like a fish. You know, I might want to use the bigger brush. Again, I'm using the Brilliant Sparkle Pearl from the Sugar Art. I'm not going to do the whole thing. I will just show you a portion of this. And see the result of that. Of course, every other luster that you put on it's going to change it to a different color. But experiment with it. I come up with something new every day, it seems like. And what I would challenge you to do is take this product and go for it. See what you can come up with. And if you do find something really cool, if you would send it to us at flexique.com, I'd appreciate it very much, and we will put it on our Facebook. Thank you so much for listening.